The current time is 1:06 in the morning, but the day this is part of is Saturday, August 25th, 2018. Good evening, my friends. How are you? If I seem a little frustrated, this is actually my third attempt recording this. The first two have had some technical difficulties. It appears that the subject matter has a mind of its own and decides it doesn't want me to record about it. It is recording, right? Okay, it is. Sorry. Tonight's discussion is on the gods, and my personal interpretation of what the gods are, what our connection is to the gods, apparently it's very neat, and what the gods represent. So, for this, I'm going to use the rosary I did this morning as an example. I did a rosary to Mot, the goddess of justice, of order, the sun, as I have on my altar, a powerful goddess in her own right. But despite everything, I don't worship her in the sense of I'm not of the Egyptian pagan faith. Those are not my gods. I worship as the true gods of creation of everything. Instead, I adhere and revere them and respect them and hail them as guardian spirits and guardian beings of Egypt who call upon or are of the consciousnesses of those specific aspects of the gods. And I'm sure that makes very little sense. So let me use a better example. We'll specifically look at what justice and order are. Justice is fairness, balance, equality, order, calmness, things working together. Community, love. And that is the abstract concept that I'm just going to put up here like as a demonstration. Egypt had a deity that was a perception of what consciousnesses of this abstract aspect was. That consciousness, that perception, through reverence, worship, hailing, rituals, was able to grow and coalesce from the united spirit and magic of the people working together to fuel a spark that became a great spirit. Over time, the spirit grew and rose and continued until it became Mot, the goddess. The god, but at the same time that this would be stuff like this would be going on, another culture would have their version. To throw off years a bit, the Greeks. They have Themis and Dike. They had the same concept. It was the same exact thing, but they were looking at their perception based on themselves, their world, everything else. In Mexico, in Hispanic cultures, we have Santa Muerte. In Hawaii, there is one. The list goes on, but ultimately they all connect to the same consciousness or universal abstract of order and justice. It is a universal abstract that becomes a local, communal, societal abstract. That it then grows and is given a spirit and becomes a full god or being of power. Now, I will not lie, with my traditions, I believe that my specific gods I worship that are truly gods are the most perfect interpretation of that abstract. If they are not literally that abstract itself, they are such a pure, unfallible line of what that abstract truly entails. But I will not say what my belief is because I don't want to cause a argument of that. Instead, I like the idea that it falls upon the person. And that is one of the few New Age ideas I sort of agree with, that all gods are one god no matter their name. That Mot is Lady Justice. The Santa Muerte is Themis. And so forth. that they are all connected, they are all one. It is just they are one aspect that is interpreted and understood differently, and they all still grow and live to this day, revered by different means. And so what does this mean for me? I have, as a shaman, have had spirit walks. And in some of those spirit walks, I have had manifestations of Mot and of Thoth show up to me before. Before I even knew who they were, they both showed up to me. I had to do a lot of research to realize what these symbols and what the aspects meant. And eventually it realized to me it was, at first, Thoth, and then later Mot. But then later, there have been others as well. There was an Aztec god that showed up to me many times in spirit walks, even in my dreams. And I know him as the Scowling Mirror. That's how I met him, that's how I know him, that's how I spoke to him in those spirit walks and those visions. I learned later that he actually that he was an Aztec god. I learned a lot more about him than I knew from that spirit walk. What I perceived him as and what the Aztecs did were different things, but I was able to find similarities to work with. Thoth and Mot were the same way. I knew Mot as the silent judge and Thoth as the ancient king or the ancient tyrant. Long story to that one. And those are entirely personal stories that have nothing really for stuff like this. But those were my interpretations, and then later I learned to associate names with them. But even if I had not, I personally believe it as long as I am still willing to show the respect, reverence, willingness to work with them, honor to them, the blessing to them, everything proper. That there truly is a problem with it, that I'm more than willing to open up the channel to speak to them, to understand, that I may properly worship them. Because if I'm going to be calling upon that specific deity, or that specific guardian, I'm going to do it for a reason. If for some reason I feel that I need to specifically open myself up to speak with the Greek goddess Dike, who, a good friend of mine, she follows the Greek gods. If for her sake I would do that, I would do everything I could to prepare myself to have an open conversation and channel with her, to understand and connect with her so we could work together. If it was, for some reason I had to do, once again, well, any god. That's the entire point. And maybe you guys see differently. Maybe you guys believe differently. I would love to hear your comments below and let us discuss this. But for now, I would like to get some sleep. So, I shall see you guys in the morning of our meditation together. Have a nice day, my friends. Have a nice night.